it's just mind-blowing that Nusrat Fateh Ali Khan is so alive within the listeners and lovers of his work. You know, Nusrat Fateh Ali Khan said, first you learn tabla, then you learn raga. Because so the great Ustad Dildar Hussain, tabla player for Nusrat Fateh Ali Khan, has been my teacher, my Ustad. He has taught me tabla, harmonium. He has taught me the meanings behind Qawwali music, and alhamdulillah, I've been able to study with this such legacy of Pakistan, you know, the great Nusrat Fateh Ali Khan with a Guinness Book World Record of most recorded and released music in a lifetime. He left us so early that it's phenomenal to even witness or feel like these songs are still affecting us today. Like they just released Ya Roz Ya Mera. This tabla is a language, right? So it has its own language involved in the tabla. Da, din, na, din, din, na. You have a language to be able to relate. So experiencing Qawwali music as a practice, as a lifestyle, as a culture, as a medium for all walks of life to come together and open the heart without judgment. So what is Qawwali music, and who are these babas they are referring to in certain kalams? I have been listening to the great Nusrat Fateh Ali Khan, particularly Dum Dum Fado Farid. This one was very catchy to me, and I had to ask this translation, and that's what got me to the shrine of Hazrat Baba Farid. So that was the first time, 2002, which humanity greatly needs in this experiences to learn how to give and let go rather than take and hold on. There's a time and place for both of those, but within the Qawwali traditional ceremony, you have that practice of giving.
अस्सलाम वालेकुम, आमना चिश्ती हमारे साथ हैं। आमना साहिबा, सबसे पहले तो मैं लंबा चौड़ा इंट्रो नहीं दूंगा आपका कि आप कौन हैं और क्या करती हैं। आप खुद हमें बताएं, मेरी ऑडियंस को, कि आप कौन हैं, आप क्या करती हैं, और ये भी बताइएगा कि 2002 में ऐसा क्या हुआ कि आपने पाकिस्तान आना शुरू कर दिया और फिर आप पाकिस्तान हर दफ़ा आती हैं, हर साल आती हैं और तब से आ रही हैं। तो ज़रा हमें अपना इंट्रोडक्शन दें।
बहुत देर से पहले because 2002, Bismillah, I went to the Khwaja Moinuddin Chishti Sufi shrine in Ajmer Sharif, and I was guided to Pakistan from there. So my first time in Pakistan was on pilgrimage to Hazrat Baba Farid Shakarganj Darbar, which I had learned about at the Sufi shrine in Khwaja Moinuddin Chishti. So it was a very direct, from Sufi shrine to Sufi shrine was the mission. So first trip to Pakistan, 2002, mashallah. I was so overcome with hospitality and love, and the culture of Pakistan was so powerful to witness Qawwali music in its original form in the Sufi shrine, in the original setting. I had miraculous healings happen to me emotionally and physically. I had a great level of love and support coming from the local Qawwals who represented the Sufi shrines and encouraged me to learn further on this path. So there was a huge encouragement of hospitality when I began this quest. And I remember that time, you know, I've been there 3-4 months. The first time, and witnessing the atmosphere of Qawwali music so intimately. I was so touched. By the time I was leaving Pakistan, I was already thinking, when am I going to be able to come back to Pakistan? So there was no question in my mind. It just was when it was going to happen again. So I think again, we came in 2006, 2007 with our whole group, and I took formal initiation after the legendary concepts of Nusrat Fateh Ali Khan's Lineage on my first trip. So I think that was the main thread of education that really got me connected and hooked into this has been a beautiful path. There's been a lot of of course, bringing the music and the education to the West as well. Bringing Dildar Hussein to America has been such a blessing for our culture to receive your culture as well. And there's such a receptivity of Americans who love this culture. They haven't quite understood or heard of before, but maybe they heard Ye Jo Halka Halka or Damastic Splendor, some of these famous kalams, to where it brought the West and East together, where we had people like Peter Gabriel, Michael Brooks, Eddie Vedder doing collaborations with these phenomenal artists and healers. You know, when you're born into a tradition, you are naturally a different type of being rather than getting to choose your path, you know. So when you're born into a tradition, that medicine and that prayer is passed down through the lineage, which creates these one-of-a-kind people that have such humility within their abilities to bring people to profound healing experiences through Qawwali music.
All right.
So,
All right. Okay, I would also like to know, आप हमें थोड़ा सा बताइए तबले जो आपके सामने पड़े हुए हैं, ये इनके साथ the relation you have with them, when did that start and how did you learn the cultural Qawwali वाला तबला जो आपके सामने on the right पड़ा हुआ है, इसके बारे में हमें जरा बताएं.
right. So therefore, learning tabla is a very beautiful and accessible way to experience the vast ocean of classical music, Hindustani classical music, as well as Qawwali music and all the sub-genres of the sub-Asian continent, which is so vast. But tabla is definitely a great gateway into experiencing the culture. Therefore, it has the language where it's very able to learn tabla because the language behind it, rather than Qawwali, is an oral tradition. So in that fact, we have more of a listening tradition rather than a reading and writing tradition, or therefore. So Ustad Dildar Hussein, such a giving teacher in his way. When you show up and for the rayaz and for the practice, the Ustad is able to symbiotically create a relationship with their students. So in that way, there's no ending and there's always something new to create, even though this is a very old standing tradition.
बिल्कुल ठीक. ऑल राइट. अच्छा, ये बताइएगा कि ये जो उस्ताद शागिर्द के जिस तरह आपने बात की, और आपने बात की कि अमेरिका के अंदर जब कवाली म्यूजिक आया है, यानी जब नुसरत साहब पहली दफ़ा अमेरिका गए, पीटर गैब्रियल से भी कोलैबोरेशन हुआ, और मतलब द फर्स्ट टाइम इट वाज रियली न्यू फॉर द अमेरिकन्स कि इस स्टाइल ऑफ म्यूजिक को उन्होंने पहले नहीं सुना हुआ था, एंड इट क्रिएटेड मतलब एक वर्लपूल ऑफ इमोशंस, और पूरी दुनिया में जो है वो इस म्यूजिक को जो है वो पजीराई भी मिली, एंड देयर वाज काइंड ऑफ अ लिटिल बिट ऑफ प्रोपेगेंडा आल्सो विद इन पाकिस्तान दैट this is not right because East was meeting West and not everybody agreed to that. तो इस पे आप क्या बताएंगी, क्योंकि आपसे आज बात करने का मकसद ये है कि हम पाकिस्तानियों को बताएं कि हाउ द कल्चर एंड द म्यूज़िक, जो कि हमारा कल्चर है, हमारा इंडिजिनस म्यूज़िक है, वो कैसे उसने हार्ट्स एंड माइंड्स को कॉन्कर किया हुआ है अराउंड द वर्ल्ड. And you were a bright example of that. How this music touched your heart, how you started practicing it yourself, and how now you are one of the teachers. मतलब आपने दिलदार साहब का बात की, he is a great man. We all know of him, we all love him. But the thing is कि उन्होंने आपको सिखाया, आप आगे वहाँ अब वेस्ट में हजारों लोगों को सिखा रही होंगी. तो हमें वो भी बताइएगा, और ये जो सूफी सेशंस आप करवाती हैं, हाउ इसका रिलेशन बताइएगा, ये जो आपका टीचिंग है म्यूजिक का और ये जो सूफी सेशंस हैं, हाउ आर दे कनेक्टेड, हाउ इज दिस म्यूजिक कनेक्टेड टू द सोल. ये आपका क्या इस हवाले से, व्हाट इज योर बिलीफ एंड व्हाट डू यू थिंक, ये हमें थोड़ा सा बताएं.
ठीक है, बिल्कुल. There's a lot there you just said. So let me go back a little bit to the beginning. What you're talking about is that level of Qawwali music coming out of Pakistan and reaching the world and collaborating with the West. So Nusrat Fateh Ali Khan's father, Fateh Ali Mubarak, he was the first Qawwal to bring Qawwali music to the radio of Pakistan. So in that legacy, their legacy is about bringing it to the people outside of the Sufi shrines. So traditionally, you would have even one darbar, one particular Sufi shrine would have Qawwals for life singing at that Sufi shrine. And this is your traditional culture of Sufi Qawwali music. Now we have the evolution, and the purpose behind the meaning is bringing all walks of life together. This is peace, love, and tolerance for all. This is healing our hearts and minds and acting and actualizing giving. So also you have in the traditional settings in the Sufi shrines where there's the nazar and there is that practice of giving. Releasing the physical attachment because your heart is feeling moved by the atmosphere of the music as the medium. So this is traditional evolution, is bringing that outside of the traditional means and bringing it to the common people. Nowadays in Pakistan, you hear Qawwali music at the chai shop, in the rickshaw. You hear it in the streets, people listening to this traditional source of music as more of a common situation, which is beautiful and shows that growth that it has to reach further and further. And the West receiving it so well in a way that it was really fascinating to, the Western mind to feel such a powerful drive. You have classical, you have Geet, you have ghazal, you have the different genres where the devotional music really takes this drive into these Punjabi rhythms, kaharvatals, that you really have this genre. If you think of the region of the Punjab, it stretches beyond the boundaries and borders. This is the representation of Sufi music, and Qawwali music is representing a people beyond borders and separation.
Since we are talking about music beyond borders, I shared a clip with you which we are going to play for our viewership also. That Nusrat Fateh Ali Khan, while he was giving an interview back in the 90s, he said that somebody asked, the anchor asked him, what is that one unfinished agenda in life that you still want to pursue? He was like that he would like to establish a university of Qawwali, a Qawwali university, a Qawwali academy. That would be just like Washington University, State University, जहाँ उन्होंने टीच किया वहाँ म्यूजिकोलॉजी, एथनो म्यूजिकोलॉजी का कोर्स, जैसे ही वाज लाइक इट शुड बी जस्ट लाइक दैट, कि वहाँ हम म्यूजिक, डिफरेंट म्यूजिक, स्पेशली ट्रेडिशनल म्यूजिक के ऊपर जो है वो रिसर्च की जाए और उसमें डिग्री दी जाए और उसमें बाकायदा सिखाया जाए लोगों को. तो आई स्टिल फील के इट इज़ एन स्टिल एन अनफिनिश्ड एजेंडा. जैसे अभी आपने बात की कि इसकी ग्लोबल आउटरीच है इस म्यूज़िक की और अंडरस्टैंडिंग है और पीपल लव इट अराउंड अक्रॉस द बॉर्डर्स. तो हु डू यू थिंक शुड take the step forward and create a university, a global phenomenon, जो मे बी पाकिस्तान में हो, मे बी कहीं भी हो, लेकिन वो ये है कि वो दुनिया में कवाली म्यूजिक के लिए काम करे. और जिस तरह के उन्होंने कहा, नुसरत साहब ने भी कहा था कि हमारे फोर फादर्स का बहुत सारा म्यूजिक तो ऑन रिकॉर्ड ही नहीं है, बिकॉज दे यूज्ड टू परफॉर्म लाइव, so there were no means to do that. लेकिन today तो we have a lot of means to not only recover the lost treasures, बल्कि उनकी ऑडियो, उनकी वीडियो इन्हांस की जा सकती है, रीमास्टर की जा सकती है, और टेक्नोलॉजी ने बहुत ग्रो किया है. तो इस हवाले से आप ज़रा बताएं कि ये सेटअप कौन करना चाहिए, किसको करना चाहिए, ये रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी किस शोल्डर्स पे है. वी आर आस्किंग यू बिकॉज यू आर एक्चुअली डूइंग अ बिट ऑफ दैट वर्क इन योर ओन कैपेसिटी. सो व्हाट डू यू वांट एंड हु डू यू थिंक शुड डू इट?
Well, and just going back a little bit too on that topic, like the legacy is within the lineage. So, when I witness as an outsider and as a foreigner, when I witness, Qawwals in their traditional settings never getting taken care of by society or the government, but just living off of Nazar. This is something as a culture, and you see sometimes Sufi shrines, they do get government help to preserve them or maintain them or upgrade some of the place of the shrine area. So that could be something that the government could put towards their culture and their livelihood. Look at what Nusrat Fateh Ali Khan did, for Pakistan on that level of bringing Pakistan to the international level, rather. And in that way, there's a lot within the lineage that's taught and through the family and the blood that needs to be nourished and preserved and taken care of inside of Pakistan. But from that point, bringing it further to the world, for me personally, I went very traditional on it. I went very to the roots of it. I wanted to be very respectful to the tradition, where we wanted to replicate what we were experiencing a Qawwali party is traditionally. So that was the idea of my coming into it as an outsider, is maintaining the traditional form as much as possible. But now over the years, again, it evolves. And I would definitely say, Nusrat Fateh Ali Khan, he is our main ustad and main lineage holder to the Punjab Gharana, Nusrat Fateh Ali Khan. And, his teachings has been profound on this path as well. And for me, as an outsider and foreigner, especially Western-minded, it was so amazing how much versatility learning this traditional music gave me, to know how to tune, to know which ragas compositions in, to know which tekas and mantras you're in, has a whole design and a whole level of education behind it that can be written and written down and explained and educated. First kalam and the hums, we have Allahu, we go to Qasida, we go to Naat, we go to Mankabat. So there's these specific things. Kaharva, Kadala, Dala, Dikadala, Dala, Dikadala, Kadala, Dikadala. You have certain things that could be put and preserved in books for Qawwali. And I also write and try and preserve these Qawwalis with the translation of English as well. So we have that understanding, but there is the oral tradition behind it that is the most powerful teacher. And there's the only way you can do that is by having the experience and preserving the culture that you do have in Pakistan already. So to build that school of preservation, you would first want to build a Qawwali hall there where the Qawwali is there to be able to be played traditionally acoustically and be able to have the ceremonial space available inside of the education school would be my idea. But
Right.
there's so many inspirations there. The poetry behind it too is a huge preservation that could be an undertaking for somebody of your nature. Every Qawwali group has a huge bag of books that they've kept of poetry. And it's amazing to me that they still have that these days, even in 2025, where Qawwals haven't put all of that onto an iPad yet or anything. So that's a very beautiful thing that you do have that old tradition still available within what is happening these days as Qawwali is evolving into weddings, mostly these days in Pakistan.
Yes.
You will see that instead of the traditional form. So, yeah, there's a lot to think about on that level, to learn and to preserve the message. And I'm a big historian, and the beauty of the oral tradition is something we miss out in the West. We have all the books and we have all the scribes and notebooks we can have here, but what we are really missing is that oral experience of what it really means to be healed through the music, to be a healer of love, So this is the experience we're all really looking for in life, but these traditional means carry it through the test of time. And Qawwali has stood the test in time and still does in so many forms. But
all right, whatever you have said, it carries a lot of weight, and it's really nice to know your thoughts on this. Also, please tell us about, since we were talking about it, that how Nusrat came to this music, this art came to the West so many years ago, and we also remember that there was this guy called Jeff Buckley, who was quite some name in the US, but not here in Pakistan. But recently, we have come across an article that that we found on the internet. It was the interview he did for the Interview magazine back in 1996. And in that interview, it was just a text interview. It was just a magazine interview, and it had no video of it. So we in Pakistan have created an AI version of that video, that interview, in which Jeff is sitting right next to Nusrat, and they are talking about it. Whatever they talk, they had a really nice conversation. We see a lot of interviews happening around. There are so many mediums right now. But I have not, as a journalist also, I have not come across such a good interview, because Jeff is not just interviewing him like a journalist. He's interviewing him from the heart. He's a diehard fan of Nusrat. And he proved that by singing Halka Halka Sarur and the devotion that he has in his voice. So I would like to ask you, how do you feel about it, and how important do you think it is to preserve such moments also, if you want to preserve this art? And this bond of East meeting the West, and the East loving the West and the West loving it back. What do you think is your take on that?
it's a beautiful example of the Jeff Buckley interview, because there was the oral tradition was happening with Jeff Buckley. He was in the sight of Nusrat Fateh Ali Khan, in the presence, able to absorb Ye Jo Halka Halka, not knowing the meaning and the depth behind this tune. But you see how when he sings it back, it's almost like he knows the meaning. And it's beyond words, really, is Sufi Qawwali music. Yet, you know, very powerful to the listener and who's perceiving it. So there's a bit of the oral tradition teaching there with that interview happening. And, you know, it's such a remarkable thing when Nusrat Fateh Ali Khan came to the West. He was, you know, changing, bringing worlds together, but the foreigners that were introduced to that current of music and culture changed their lives. You know, I still meet people, you know, today that love to tell. I saw Nusrat Fateh Ali Khan perform and you know, changed my life. You know, I still meet people like that today, and even, you know, the year Real World Records recording from 35 years ago. Yet all the Qawwali students are singing it and playing it, and it's a new Qawwali song for everybody right now. So it's just mind blowing that Nusrat Fateh Ali Khan is so alive within the listeners and lovers of his work. And
Well,
yeah, that recording.
I'm sure this is the power of music that you're talking about, and we simply love it. Yes, you're right. So, would you like to perform something special for us, for my audience? Anything that you think is, you know, your specialty? You can also switch into different tones or anything that you would like to, a combination of melodies if you want.
Are you going to be editing this, or are you just putting it on live like this?
Yeah, yeah, you can stay in the frame and do whatever you want. No problem. Wonderful, wonderful, very nice. It was very nice. Okay, but I would just in the end like to ask you another question. I have a lot of questions, and the time is so short. We'll have another session, inshallah, very soon. And if whenever you are coming to Pakistan, you're invited to the studios also. We would like to see you live, perform live here for our audience, and we would love to see you and meet you in person. So, in the end, I would just like to ask you one quick question. That I saw this post of yours in which you told the importance of clap. How important a clap, kind of a small that thing that we consider very minor, but it is how vital part of Qawwali it is. Just explain a little about that. What did you mean by that? And how did you learn?
My,
Was that the first thing that you learned when you started your journey into Qawwali music?
what was that last part?
Was it the first thing that you learned in your journey on Qawwali music?
I think, the first thing to learn would be, tempo. And tempo gives you so much freedom. If you know tempo, you're able to really improvise, because you can't have as much freedom in your raga without your lay, without the tempo. So therefore, the clap represents that in Qawwali music, and the great Amir Khusro included that as the metronome and as the place for the entrance of students to start being able to even listening and observing and just being able to hold your clap is that step towards even learning more within the Qawwali. So it's almost like the doorway in is learning the clap. So for Tintal, we would have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, da, din, din, da, din, din, da, da, tin, tin, na, din, din, da, da. So there's a 16 beat where everything comes from that. So basically 16 and a half is 8, and then you have the 4. So we have the varieties of kaharvas coming out of the Punjabi Gharana, which is the 8s and the 4s. A very big, big part of the Punjab Gharana is holding this prolific kaharva repertoire and variety and styles within it. But for Allahu, 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 Allahu. So we have the 1 coming in on who? Not on Allah, correct? Allahu, Allahu, Allahu. So in that respects, if we counted it in 16, Allahu, 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 who would be the 1, would be the song. So that's where we find our 1, and where the 1 is represented in the mantra is where we will come back to. So that's how you get to know how to improvise within the Qawwali, which is such an important role, is that freedom and that openness of improvising and allowing yourself to not only build skills, but also build the freedom of being in that vulnerable place as a musician and improvising, which Nusrat Fateh Ali Khan said 95% of classical music is improvised. So we have that great level of creating the ability to find the tempo within. So the clap is a good way to enter in and be able to start learning.
Well, so your knowledge of Qawwali is amazing. We all agree to that. Okay, one lastest thing is that would you like to dedicate something for your Ustad Dildar Hussain and also to Nusrat Fateh Ali Khan and all the Qawwali lovers listening to you right now? Please dedicate something, but you have to use your hands to do that. Yeah, yeah.
Thank you. Bahut shukriya. I really, really appreciate this and feeling the love from Pakistan right now. I'm in California, so it's a really nice time to meet and share the profound effects of such a cultural tradition of Qawwali music. So, yeah. Beautiful tea-high. Now we'll go into the Kaharbatal with the tea-high button. So,
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
thank you. Bahut shukriya.
Take care.
Bahut shukriya.
Allah Hafiz. Allah Hafiz. Thank you so much.
Allah Hafiz.
Allah Hafiz.
Yeah. Allah Hafiz. Nusrat Fateh Ali Khan said, first you learn tabla, then you learn raga. Great Nusrat Fateh Ali Khan with a Guinness Book World Record of most recorded and released music in a lifetime. He left us so early that it's phenomenal to even witness or feel like these songs are still affecting us today. Like they just released Yadros Ya Mera, this which humanity greatly needs in this experiences to learn how to give and let go rather than take and hold on. There's a time and place for both of those, but within the Qawwali traditional ceremony, you have that practice of giving. The great Ustad Dildar Hussain, tabla player for Nusrat Fateh Ali Khan, has been my teacher, my Ustad. He has taught me tabla, harmonium. He has taught me the meanings behind Qawwali music, and alhamdulillah, I've been able to study with this such legacy of Pakistan. Tabla is a language, right? So it has its own language involved in the tabla. Da, din, na, din, na. You have a language to be able to relate. Experiencing Qawwali music as a practice, as a lifestyle, as a culture, as a medium for all walks of life to come together and open the heart without judgment. So what is Qawwali music, and who are these Babas they are referring to in certain kalams I had been listening to the great Nusrat Fateh Ali Khan. Particularly Dum Dum Fado Farid. This one was very catchy to me, and I had to ask this translation, and that's what got me to the Shrine of Hazrat Baba Farid. So that was the first time, 2002,